How's it going there today, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on my channel. So first things first, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been subscribed to my channel at this point. I really appreciate the support, and we wouldn't be this far right now if it wasn't for you guys, alright? So I appreciate you guys taking the time to actually consume my content and hopefully get some value out of it. Other than that, just leave a comment as always. Be sure to drop that like button, and let's get started straight into the video today. So in today's video, guys, I want to show you guys how to actually avoid debt. Now, let's be honest, guys, debt, it's one of those topics that could be either a good thing to have debt or a bad thing to have debt. Now, in most cases, and here in America, it's bad because the average American has about $38,000 in personal debt, not including your home, okay? So once you add your home, it's probably gonna be over $200,000, but excluding that, the average person has around $38,000 in personal debt. So that's a really big number when you think about it. $38,000? How does one get into so much debt? I mean, that's just a crazy amount of number, and that's not even including your home. Like, holy crap, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure one doesn't simply wake up, wanting to go into debt, right? I think I want to get into some debt today, guys. What you guys think? Should I go get out a car? A new home? I don't think that's how people get into debt, right? No, you see, the reason that people get into debt like this when it's not your home is because the majority of it happens when a major emergency occurs, okay guys? Now, whether it be a car accident, broken washer, or just any unexpected emergency that occurs, it's the urgency to need money at that moment that people take out loans, thus getting into debt, okay? They get out credit card loans, they get out personal loans. Why? Because they don't have the money at that moment to cover for these huge expenses that come up unexpected. And also, this usually comes with, well, high interest. And with high interest, you're paying more and more money every single month, every single year, and it just keeps accumulating so much to the point that you can't even dig yourself out of this hole, right? Like, you're gonna be stuck into this debt forever and ever and ever, and that's just how it seems when you don't have the money to cover for these type of things, okay? And it's really the lack of money for a rainy day that puts people into debt in the first place. So now that we know how people actually get into debt, how can we avoid further situations like this so that we don't get into a situation like this at all and not having to worry about having the money and getting out debts of any sort? Well, for starters, guys, for one, you got to recognize that there are some types of debt that you just can't simply ignore, okay? For instance, we all need to live somewhere, right? We all need a car to drive to work. So unless you have the cash at that moment to purchase it in full, you're gonna need to take out a loan to purchase these two things. So if you want to live in a house, you want to own your own house, you're gonna need to take out a loan. I'm pretty sure you weren't born with, a couple $100,000 in your account. Most people aren't. And if you need a car for work, then you're also gonna have to take out a loan to buy a car. Unless you lease your stuff, maybe you lease an apartment or a car or whatever. But other than that, these are the type of debts that you just simply can't ignore. Now, these two things aren't really considered bad debt unless it's a new car, then that's a whole different thing. But the debt that you really need to avoid is the bad debt, okay? And this type of debt is buying stuff that you can't even afford, so you go out and max a credit card to purchase these things. Stuff like clothes, jewelry. I mean, guys, people are literally going into debt purchasing stuff they can't afford just to impress other people, okay? That's the type of debt that you really need to stop getting yourself into. So stop buying stuff that you cannot afford, because this debt is not worth it in the long run. Because remember, at the end of the day, you doing this, the people you're trying to impress, they're not the ones paying debt. You are. You're the ones that are going to be stuck with it. So by all means, please try to find a way to stop doing that. Now, another way to avoid getting into debt like this is building up an emergency fund. Okay, guys? Now, in my opinion, this is like the core reason on why people go into debt, just like I mentioned earlier in the video. Because if we look at the statistics, guys, most Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency expense, okay? And it's no surprise that people taking out loans for emergencies is uncommon. So building up that emergency fund is strictly important, because if you do not have an emergency fund for future emergencies, this is exactly why people go into debt. So start putting away some percentage of your paycheck every single month into a high APY savings account, okay? Put it into banks like Ally and Synchrony Bank. Those are great banks with high APYs, okay? And simply put maybe, 10% of your check every single time you get paid and put it away for a rainy day, okay? Because it's funny that people can afford Nike shoes, Louis Vuitton bags, but they don't have enough money to cover an emergency. I mean, come on. Trust me, you can build up an emergency fund. It is not hard. It just comes down to minimizing your expenses and saving up that emergency fund. Now, I would highly suggest that you save up to at least at the minimum 6 months worth of expenses, okay? Which means your rent, groceries, all of that stuff. Save up at least 6 months, if not even more. Personally, I would go for a year or two, but 6 months is good enough for at least, okay? That way if something unexpected happens, like you get fired from your job, you have an accident, you won't have to worry about getting out any type of loans whatsoever, because you have that little safe cushion right there waiting for you to hold you back on, okay? This way, guys, you can avoid any future debt, okay? Because once you get into some form of debt, it's almost impossible to actually get out of it. Trust me, I've been in my own situation before with the credit card where I maxed it out, and it just seemed like every single month it was barely knocking it out whatsoever. So eventually I went aggressively on it for a full year and finally knocked it out, got smarter with credit cards. So, I mean, lesson learned, but trust me, this is not a lesson you want to learn, okay? Because trust me, getting into any form of debt that you cannot repay back at that instant is not great, okay? You're going to be losing money down the long run, and it's just going to catch up to you more and more if you don't pay attention to it. But hopefully this video brought some value to you guys out there, and hopefully it helps some of you knock out some of your debt, or at least begin with it. But anyways, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy this video, guys, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, leave me a comment down below as always. And if you are new to the channel, I would highly consider subscribing. We do talk about a lot of money stuff, personal finance, you know, just all those type of different things. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.